We spend so much time figuring out what to study and how to study, but what if we're missing the most important piece of the puzzle? What if I told you the key isn't what or how, but when? What if you could actually get better grades, not by studying harder, but just by studying at the right time? I mean, you know that feeling, right? You sit down to cram for a huge test. You're staring at the textbook, but your brain just feels fuzzy, like it's full of static. Nothing's sticking. It's so frustrating, but here's the thing. It might not even be your fault. You could just be fighting against your own body's natural clock. And honestly, this is the game changer. There is a world of difference between trying to learn when you're wiped out versus learning when your brain is actually switched on, focused, and ready to go. Nailing this can change everything. So how do we figure out when our brain is actually in the mood to learn? Well, it turns out there's a whole field of science that's all about this exact question. It's called chronobiology, and it's basically the science of decoding our body's own secret internal rhythms. Yep, chronobiology studies the absolute best timing for us to do all sorts of things, from sleeping to working out, and yeah, even learning. It helps us find our personal peak performance windows. So, what has all this science actually discovered? Well, it's found that we all kind of fall into different categories, or what scientists call chronotypes. And you've probably heard of the two most famous ones, larks and owls. So let's see how the population actually breaks down. Looking at everyone, it's a pretty interesting split. About 14% of us are larks, those true early birds. Then you've got 21% who are owls, people who really come alive at night. And that huge slice in the middle, that's about 65% of us. But to really get how timing works, the key is to look at those two extremes, the larks and the owls. And the difference between them is, well, it's night and day. Larks literally jump out of bed with their brains firing, totally ready for that sharp analytical work. We're talking math, physics, coding, first thing in the morning. Owls, they're the total opposite. Their analytical brain power doesn't really kick into high gear until the evening rolls around, making them the champs of a late-night study session. Okay, this is all pretty cool, but let's get down to it. What does this mean for you, right now, as a student trying to get through your classes? Well, this is where the science gets really personal, and believe it or not, it has a very clear answer for most of you watching. That's it. That's the big reveal. While the whole adult population is a mix, research shows again and again that most teenagers and young people are naturally owls. Your biology is literally hardwired for you to be more alert later in the day. That urge to stay up late, it's not just a bad habit, it's your chronotype calling the shots. All right, so knowing you're probably an owl, how can you actually use this to your advantage? How do you build the perfect study schedule around it? Let's talk about how to harness your analytical peak. This is your brain's sweet spot. From the evening on into the night, your mind is at its best for tough, focused, analytical thinking. This is the time to hit your hardest subjects, plowing through those tricky math problems, really digging into dense scientific papers, or writing some clean code. So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. Stop trying to force yourself to do the really hard studying in the morning just because you think you should. Your brain isn't on your team at that time of day. Instead of fighting your own nature, lean into it. Use your owl biology as your secret academic weapon. But wait a minute, what about the mornings? Are they just a total write-off for an owl? Nope, not at all. Actually, your morning off-peak time holds a really surprising secret weapon for a completely different kind of thinking. So what is this secret? And how can your groggy, still waking up morning brain actually help you crush your next English paper? It's a fantastic little paradox of how our brains work. So here's the magic trick. In the morning, that super analytical, critical part of your brain, your inner editor that questions everything, is still a little bit sleepy. This actually lowers your mental guardrails and lets ideas connect more freely and unexpectedly. This makes it the absolute perfect time for creative, big picture work. So let's put this all together into a super simple but powerful study plan. Use your mornings, when your brain is a bit fuzzy but super creative, to brainstorm, outline, and write those essays. Then save the heavy-duty analytical stuff, like math and physics, for the evening, when your focus is like a laser beam. You're not fighting your brain anymore, you're finally working with it. So there you have it. The secret isn't about studying harder. It's about studying smarter, by getting in sync with your body's natural clock. Now that you know you have this academic superpower, the only question left is, how are you going to redesign your day?